A very good morning to everyone out there, all 100,000 of you plus. Welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. A lot of people already in the chat. You've already hit the like button. Love to see that. Here's what we don't love to see. Let's take a look at the recap screen. 1 and 2. My pick is pending, and it's winning right now, although admittedly there's some time to go. So hopefully this gets raised to 2 and 2. Proppy loses his by a half a point, whereas Larry wins his by a half. So, win some, lose some when it comes to those close calls. And Cal does not come through plus 8.5. But listen, only 3 picks. Martin's pending his pick, and my pick is pending as well. Let's see if we can turn that into a winning record. And how about a winning Thursday with what I think is the dream team of all dream teams? It includes Larry Hartstein, Buckets, Mike McClure, and oh my gosh, there he is, Tim Doyle. Welcome back. It's so great to see you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I had a fantastic Wednesday in the NBA. I went 7-0. My Tuesday was 0-6. You know what that's called, Sia? The NBA, my friend.
Yeah. And Tim, is it true we only have one NBA game slated for tonight, and you've got a pick in that game?
I do have a pick in that game, and I'm going to talk about my own mother. So stay tuned.
Wow. Oh, man, you're always pulling out all the surprises, all the stops. Mike, you and I have a date at 11 o'clock for FFT DFS. I'm looking forward to that. I know you and Larry and myself have picks in this NFL game, but Buckets, we've got a full show, right? We got to get started. We got to get kicked off, if you will. Start us off with some soccer.
Yeah, see, we've got Nations League coming back this afternoon, and it's a very tricky competition to bet because some teams don't care. Some teams don't want to be there. Some of the biggest names in football have said, this is messing up my vacation. Why are we doing this? So rather than try to force a bunch of plays, I'm going to find one good line, get one good cash for all of us, and call it a day. I am looking at the big one. We've got Belgium hosting Italy in Nations League this afternoon, and I am taking both teams to score, currently priced at -110. There are multiple reasons I'm taking this wager, but let me just give you a couple bullet points here. Italy just needs a draw to qualify from the group stage. They do not need to win. They just need to make sure they get a goal and pull the draw. Meanwhile, Belgium have to get all 3 points. They have to win to stay in contention, which means Belgium is going to be attacking like mad. And Italy, with Matteo Retegui and others, have one of the best counter-attacking offenses currently in Europe. This is a game where both teams to score probably should be closer to -175 to where you use it as a parlay piece, but I see a 1-1 or a 2-1 all day on this one, Sia. Absolutely love both teams to score.
Buckets, you do realize, speaking of both teams, the last couple of times I've asked you for an interception prop on a Thursday, you either had both quarterbacks not throwing an interception or both quarterbacks throwing an interception, and you were right both times. So we still have about 20 minutes to go, actually less than 20 minutes to go on this show. Later on, if I come back to you, will you have an INT prop?
I got the quarter ready, baby. We're good.
Let's go. Larry, go
give him the names. Just give him, he needs to know.
Oh, give me the names now. Yes, that'd be great.
Yes. Washington versus Philly. Jaden Daniels versus Jalen Hurts. Ooh, there you have it. So put that coin to work, and we'll come back to you. All right. Well, listen, we got to get to some football now. Commanders, Eagles, like we said. Mike, I'm going right to you. I think this is such an interesting game, and I got to be honest. I think this is a very difficult game to handicap, partly because of the level of competition and how both of these teams have played over the last 4 or 5 weeks. With that said, you've got to play in this game. What is it?
Yeah, I'm going to back the Eagles in the first half. See, I laid to the 2.5 in the first half. I think the number should be 3 for the first half, which would require obviously a 4-point victory. Very different number in a half of football. When I look at the Eagles, though, this team since week 5 has been the best defense in the NFL in terms of EPA per play. And I don't think Jaden Daniels is completely playing at 100% right now. We know that he's been dealing with the rib injury. Since that injury has happened, the completion percentage has dropped a lot. Now, it's not bad by any means. It's mostly kind of where you might have expected a good rookie quarterback to be, but certainly not where he was, with that awesome start to start this season. But when I look at the Eagles and what they do well, it matches up with where I think Washington is most vulnerable in neutral game scripts. So neutral game script is mostly what you're in a first half, outside of a team scoring 2 to 3 touchdowns early, right? And that vulnerability is going to be stopping the run. I love Saquon Barkley in this matchup. I know it's a short week for him, but they planned for that. They didn't use him as much as they could have or normally would last last week in that blowout win over the Cowboys. So I think that the Eagles are going to be able to move the football. And the other thing that's just so important here is that this is their playoff game. This, to me, is the game that decides the division, because you look at the Commanders' schedule remaining, it is about as soft as it could possibly get thanks to some of the injuries and situations around the league. And then Lincoln Financial Field, it's a primetime game in Philly against a division rival like this. So I think that that's where the home field advantage shows up early in this game. Give me the Eagles early, -2.5 in the first half.
Yeah, we've got a lot of interesting takes on this game in the chat. Big Cheesy says he likes the over 48.5. We're going to address that later. Actually, Larry, after we give out your pick, you might have an opinion on that total. And then Mike, I'm going to go to you on that as well. I think this game is really interesting, Mike. I have a bet that implicates the passing game for the Philadelphia Eagles. And part of the reason is because I think we're going to see Washington perhaps sell out against the run, because they got to declare one way or the other, whether it's toward the running game or the passing game. So we'll see. I think this is a really tough game to cap, but I got to say, I probably do like the Eagles first half there. If you want to make Mike's bet, go to BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. All right, well, we've kept Smiling Tim Doyle just quiet for way too long. It's been at least 3 minutes. I need to hear from Tim. You need to hear from Tim. We're going to hear from Tim right after this message from our partners.
Saturdays at 3:30. It's big time. Saturday on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. This is an interesting comment. Tim, I actually want to go to you first. I don't know if you have an opinion. I was a big Mike Tyson guy back in the day. I just loved watching him fight. I love all the documentaries and buckets. If anybody, put your hand up if you have an opinion on this, but the Big E89 says anyone who touches Paul versus Tyson is literally insane. That has fixed written all over it. Listen, I don't know whether to agree or disagree. Does anybody have a take on that? Because A, I really want to watch that fight. B, I really hope it's not fixed. I don't think it will be. And C, I think Tyson could just absolutely rock Jake Paul. I could be wrong. He's plus money. Mike, what's your take on this?
My take is this fight's happening because Jake Paul generates a lot of revenue and Mike Tyson's looking for a payday. So to keep the train rolling, I think there's no scenario in which Jake Paul doesn't win the fight. So, if I were to bet on it, it would be, 100% fixed for sure. Most of what Jake Paul does as an exhibition.
Interesting. Tim, before you give out your pick in this Utah Jazz game, any opinion? I mean, you had to have been an Iron Mike Tyson fan back in the day.
Oh, absolutely. And by the way, I would say greatest video game ever made.
Punch-Out.
If you really want me to go through the whole Punch-Out crew, you fought Glass Joe in the first fight, then Von Kaiser, and then you ran into Piston Honda. And then Piston Honda got better the second time you fought him. I don't know if he was improving in his game. Maybe he was taking some juice. And then you had to run into Soda Popinski, and then Don Flamenco and King Hippo and Super Macho Man. And then the key with Tyson was, buckets, you had to get through that first round. Because anytime he hit you, you were going down. But if you survived that first round, and I think it's going to be the same with Jake Paul. These are 2-minute rounds. They're fighting with bigger gloves. I really got in depth yesterday, obviously, bench pressing at the gym because it was a great gym conversation. Father Time is undefeated. And if I went on a basketball court, I'd be amazing for about 7 minutes. Problem is, it's a 40-minute game in college and a 48-minute game with the pros. So that would eventually catch up to me. I think as this fight wears down, it's going to be sad to watch. But in a way, I am rooting for Tyson to hit him with one punch and have that magic moment, Sia, that you and I grew up, experiencing.
And by the way, good job rolling through all the. I thought you were going to forget Don Flamenco. I think you checked all the boxes there. That was really impressive. Listen, by the way, speaking of basketball, we got to do me and you one-on-one and like record it and live cast it and all that stuff. I think you're going to win. I think it's going to be good competition, though. It's something we need to do. Speaking of basketball, Tim, talk to me about this Jazz game.
Well, it's only one NBA game tonight. And as I said earlier, I was fantastic yesterday. I was 7-0 in the NBA. The night before, I was horrible. I was 0-6. Maybe that was the NBA Cup. And I have to take that into account because not only do you have to win in the NBA Cup, but you also have to accumulate a lot of points. So even though I've been gambling since I'm a young man, I'm still learning because the rules are adjusting to the NBA. Now, there's only one NBA game tonight. The Jazz are at home where they are horrible. They haven't won a game all year, but they're getting 9.5 points. In Dallas, their last 3 games, listen to what they've lost by. 3 to Golden State in the Steph Curry game, 2 to Denver, and 1 to Phoenix. Put yourself in that locker room. Now you got to go to Utah. Like, where's the juice in that game? I'm not saying they're not going to win, and they should be favored. 3.5, 4, 9.5 is absolutely crazy. And Lauri Markkanen, have you looked at his numbers? This year he's averaging 16. Last year, 23. I know what it is. He cut his hair. Last year, he had the same exact haircut as my mom. Cue the picture. There it is. Yeah. When he was an NBA All-Star, this is what it was. He used to text me and go, "What does your mom get?" And I would say she gets the 79-year-old woman. And when he was getting the 79-year-old woman haircut, that's when he was performing. By the way, my mom is a saint. If you ever take her out for a steak dinner, you call her the next day, okay, Sia? First matchup was an 8-point game in Dallas. Not saying the Jazz are going to win, but too many points in this spot. The hammer is out. Hammer the Jazz here.
He looks so much like your mother, Tim. That side by side is unbelievable. Wow. Okay. We like the Jazz plus 9.5. A big hello. Shout out to Mrs. Doyle, Tim's mom. That was great making an appearance there. All right, we've got a lot of questions, a lot of comments in the chat. I'm going to skip over to my pick, but I do want to ask if anybody's tracking my 3-ball. I think they're on hole 11 right now. I've got Ben Griffin over Kevin Chappell and Callum Tarrant. Give me the update there. Griffin was up 1 stroke on Chappell. He was up by 3 or 4 strokes on Callum Tarrant, or maybe it's the other way around. Let me know if we're still holding on to a lead. And if you followed my first round leader picks, which I told you I was going to post on Twitter, we had Jacob Bridgman at 50-1. That was 1 shot out of the lead. I don't know if maybe he's tied it up and is in the first round lead as we speak. But speaking of the lead, we think that maybe the Eagles are going to be winning this game. Mike McClure certainly thinks that at halftime. And by halftime, I could see A.J. Brown with a big catch. I like A.J. Brown's longest reception over 28.5 yards. Again, this is the full game, of course, but it wouldn't be shocking to me if they go to him early. And frankly, I do think Washington, it's such a vulnerable defense. And this is, I got to admit, this is a pretty good Eagles offense, especially lately, very efficient. I don't know what you do as a DC here, as Dan Quinn. Do you commit to trying to stop the run, or do you just play soft and let them gash you, 5-6 yards at a time? I think you commit to stopping the run, which to me leaves some of these DBs basically on an island, very vulnerable. The same DBs that got cooked by Mike Williams at the end of the game. Now enter A.J. Brown, who can get you on a quick slant and run 30, 40, 50, 60 yards, or he can beat you deep on a fly route, and Jalen Hurts will throw one of those moon balls right into his hands. It's just such a good edge for A.J. Brown. Now, as far as his total yards, 80, 81, 82, I do lean that way as well, but I think I like the explosive plays from A.J. Brown. By the way, he's played in 6 games this year. He's hit this number over 28.5 in 5 out of 6. There's no reason for me to think that he can't do it against Washington, especially if Washington pushes the Eagles from a scoring standpoint and the Eagles have to put their foot on the gas. A.J. Brown is going to be heavily, heavily involved. Give me his longest reception over 28.5 yards. So we go from Philly scoring, Larry Hartstein, to Washington perhaps not scoring quite as much as people think.
Yeah, I played Washington under 23.5 points. On DK, you can get this at -130. 22.5 is the standard number, but I wanted 23.5 because 23 is a pretty common score with the field goals. You see what they did against Pittsburgh, 27 points, but hey, 1 touchdown was when the Steelers gave them the ball at the 15-yard line on the botched fake punt, and they only averaged 4.1 yards per play. The last time they faced a good defense, the Bears, they didn't light it up as well. Philly is the #1 defense in the NFL since week 6. And you might say, oh, well, they haven't played a lot of great teams. They played a good offense in Cincinnati, completely shut them down. Those rookie corners, Mitchell and DeJean, are awesome. In fact, DeJean is the #1 corner in coverage, according to PFF. So a lot of things setting up, to me, for the Commanders to finish under 23.5. Plus, you have rain in the forecast. You also have Zach Bond, the incredible linebacker for the Eagles. He might be a spy on Jaden Daniels. He's the defensive player of the week. That guy is incredible. So I just love this Vic Fangio defense. I think we're going to get a lot of running in this game. Neither team is in a hurry to snap the ball, which helps when you're trying to cash a team total under. And that's what I played, under 23.5.
Okay, and we've got some Brown anytime touchdown picks from Big Cheesy. That's plus 120. And also Big Cheesy's calling out a 1 o'clock college basketball game. North Dakota +6. They're playing Utah Valley. That's a 1 o'clock game. So that's kind of cool. If anybody wants to track Big Cheesy on that one, again, a 1 o'clock college basketball game.
By the way, can I say something?
Yeah.
If you're betting that game, okay, just like I bet Belgium to score and Italy to score. Thank you, Buckets, for that one. It should be minus 175 if you missed that part of the show. But if you're betting the North Dakota college basketball, you are a sick individual, and I want to be friends with you. Like, I want to hang out with you. I want to go to chicken wings. Our families need to meet because you are a really, really inflicted individual. Thank you.
Absolutely. Love to see that. Mike, I want to ask you something NFL-wise, and then Buckets, I am going to come to you for the interception prop. So true. I kind of want to bet on that North Dakota game, by the way, just to do it, just for the sport of it. Maybe just a little bit of cash on that one. So here's the thing about the Eagles, and I want to get your reaction here, and because maybe I'm overstating the point, but the Eagles' last 5 games, this 5-game win streak, it obviously hasn't been against good teams. Now you can make a similar argument to Washington, but they've beaten the Browns with Deshaun Watson, the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence. Now they did beat Cincinnati, so that's good. And Cincinnati didn't have T. Higgins. The other two, Cooper Rush and Daniel Jones, like this defense looks really good, but I mean, there's certainly an argument that it's a bit of smoke and mirrors against some of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL right now. Your response to that, because I think a lot of people, rightfully so, perhaps leaning into what the Eagles have done lately.
Yeah, I mean, I think the message here is always you can only play who they line up in front of you. And yeah, I'd say the same thing on the Commanders. When you look, they beat the Giants twice. They beat the Bears, needed an absolute miracle to beat the Bears, who really didn't put up any points at all in the game. They beat the Panthers big. They beat, again, Deshaun Watson and the Browns. So it's very, very similar, both of these teams here. So I think that it really – it comes down to what you've seen lately. And I think for me, the concern is just Jaden Daniels, where he's at. He's still a great player. It's just, I've been a little concerned over the last few weeks because, again, I don't think he's 100%, right?
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Buckets, do we have an INT that we're going to throw here?
Let's take a look real quick here, Sia.
Oh, what a flip. Oh, boy, he lost.
That's not a good sign. 1 second. Don't worry, I got the dice here for backup.
Unbelievable.
So I've got, tell me if this makes sense, okay? I've got neither quarterback throwing an interception and Jalen Hurts' first touchdown score at plus 600. That's what the dice told me, at least. That sound okay with everyone?
Yeah. That does sound good, actually.
Mike, that okay if we go with that?
I would love that. I would love the Eagles scoring first in this game.
I certainly would not. Matt wouldn't either. He's a Commanders fan like me. He says, Commanders shocked the world tonight. Let's get this dub. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I've seen the question from multiple people. I like Jalen Hurts rushing attempts over tonight for a couple reasons. You know, Dan Quinn is very familiar with this matchup still, and Saquon Barkley specifically. Again, both of them on different teams, but they've played against one another for a long time. And it's hard to not listen to some of the coach speak, but they've really emphasized the point of you can't have a solo tackle on Saquon Barkley. It is always hunting on Saquon Barkley. So I think the Eagles will have maybe some bootleg options for Jalen Hurts that could be big plays. And then, of course, the tush push. I just think this is a great spot. And no offense, but those kneel downs at the end, they do count.
Ouch. Predicting the future. Larry, close us.
Yeah, you know, I'm sorry if you notice I keep looking away, and it's not because you all aren't super engaging, but my SportsLine Discord keeps going off with alerts, and I just got a tennis play from our tennis expert, Jose Honorado, on the SportsLine Discord, a play in the Sinner Medvedev match. So if you go to the SportsLine Discord right now, you go to the homepage of SportsLine, click join the community, join us in the Discord. I think we got almost 500 people, subscribers and experts on there already. We just launched this thing, and literally our tennis expert giving out picks right there in the Discord.
We've got over 100,000 people that are subscribed to this channel, many tens of thousands that are members of SportsLine. And of those, a lot of people starting to pour into that Discord, because if you're a SportsLine member, you've got access to the SportsLine Discord. So absolutely love to see that, Larry. Everybody kind of in there covering all sports when they can. and it's very, very active already. It's just going to become more active. Brad Morris has been active. I want to give him a shout out because he's been giving out hockey picks. He likes Florida money line, Winnipeg money line, and Winnipeg team total over 3.5. How about our bets? Let's take a look at the recap screen before we get out of here. AJ Brown, longest reception over 28.5 yards at -108. Buckets, Belgium, Italy, both teams to score -110. Mike McClure, Eagles first half -2.5 at -118. Larry Hartstein, Commanders team total under 23.5 at -130. And the Jazz tonight, we've got an NBA game, and it's the Jazz +9.5. Keeping an eye on our golf bets, on Martin Green's bets. A lot of bets still pending. A lot of bets potentially still to cash. Thanks for being a part of this show with us, everybody. Join us on CBS Sports Network at 12 o'clock. You can see me there among so many other people talking a lot more NFL and things of that nature. FFT DFS today at 11. And don't forget, we've got prime time, 7:15, to cover this Commanders-Eagles game tonight on this channel. So a lot of content coming your way. I hope you can be a part of all of it. And thanks for being a part of this one. On behalf of the return of Tim Doyle, Buckets, Larry Hartstein, Mike McClure, and Jake the Snake, always on the 1s and 2s and 9s and 10s. I'm the Counselor of Cash. This is the Early Edge. We rest our case.